Hi there, it's Carol with Carol B Crafts. Today we'll be doing project number 6 in my Picture Perfect Birthday online card class. The Picture Perfect class kit, which contains pre-cut paper, cardstock, ribbon, and embellishments to make 6 cards and 3 little gift bags, will be available through April 30th, 2018. You can get the details on how you can get the class kit free through my customer reward program on my website www.carolbcrafts.com. Let's take a look at what's in our card kit. In your card kit you'll find everything you need to make this card. You just need the stamps and the ink. Now this is a multicolored ink card, so we do have several inks that we need. We need Bermuda Bay and Pool Party, Berry Burst, Peekaboo Peach, and Crushed Curry. Now you could substitute any yellow that you have for the flame of the candles, or if you have similar colors you could substitute those as well. Now you may or may not need a Stamp-A-Majig depending on how you decide to do your candles. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with our stamping, and I'll give dimensions as we go along, but I'll also put them on my website so that you can make more of these or similar cards if you want. So right now we're just going to set all of this aside and get the 2 white pieces of cardstock, and these are 3 7/8 by 2 1/2. You only need 1, but I give you 2 in case you have a little mess up. Now the stamps that we're going to use is the Today We Celebrate Wonderful, Brilliant, Fabulous You, the 3 candle stamps, and then this little asterisk symbol stamp right here, and then the flame stamp for the candles. And those come from the Picture Perfect Birthday stamps. So I have my stamps. I put them on D blocks, and I've used both sides of the D blocks to make it easier for me to not have to change stamps around. So we'll start with our photo. Since we have photopolymer stamps, we're going to use our foam pad, our pierce mat. So you have a choice when you're stamping these, depending on whether you have a Stamp-A-Majig or not. If you don't have a Stamp-A-Majig, you might want to just do solid candles, no decoration. Then because with the Stamp-A-Majig you can put like a tone-on-tone image, stripes and dots on top of these. But if you don't have the Stamp-A-Majig, or you're afraid you can't quite line it up perfectly, because it is a little tricky to line these up, you might want to just go with solid candles. The other option would be to have maybe 1 solid candle and then use just the stripes and the dots, and then you probably wouldn't need to Stamp-A-Majig for this one either. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it with the tone-on-tone patterns, but it's your choice to make how you want to do it. So we'll start out with our Berry Burst, and we're going to stamp the sentiment, which is Today We Celebrate Wonderful, Brilliant, Fabulous You, and I have that on a D block. Now you can use the Stamp-A-Majig for this if you want to. I think I'll go ahead and do that just because. Now I'm going to put a little adhesive on the back, and I'm only going to do 1. I might need to do 2 if I mess up, but I'll just do 1 because 1 is for extra. And I found that when I use this adhesive and put it on the back, it doesn't stick to the pad for some reason. I mean, it sticks, but when I take it off, it doesn't leave a gooey mess behind. It just all comes off. So that if you're worried about that, no worries there. So I'll get my Stamp-A-Majig, the plastic part, and I use the rough side. I'm not sure if that's the side I'm supposed to use, but it works best for me. I put it in the corner and I ink up my stamp just to make an impression. So I go straight down and straight up. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to let me know where it's going to stamp. I'm going to do this about 1/4 of an inch from the edge, the beginning of the stamp image, 1/4 inch from the edge, and even top and bottom. So that looks about good. And I'm just going to go straight down and straight up. Now I'm going to clean off my stamp with, and you know, I actually don't use baby wipes. What I use, and if you have a Publix near you, is hand and face wipes. I find those work better than just baby wipes. And if you don't have a Publix near you, you might have something similar to you. And then the other thing that I like to do when I do clean my stamps off, I like to use a piece of scratch paper and I stamp on it. And you can see there's still a little bit of ink on there. I stamp until I hear this. Do you hear how it's like making that sound? That means your stamp is ready to get more ink on it. If you don't hear that sound, then you might still have a film or some liquid on your stamp. And if you go to make another image, it's not going to be as good as if it's not perfectly dry. Just a little tip for you from me. Now the next thing we're going to do is the center. Since we have our berry burst out, we're going to do the center candle. And I have that. Now when you're putting your candle on your block, this little photopolymer can kind of get wonky. So what you want to do is you want to just lay it flat and then put it on your, hear that? That little snap kind of sound lets me know it's ready to soak up some ink. That ink will stick to my image really well. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the center of this space right here, and I'm going to put the bottom of the candle level with the U as best I can. Okay, clean off my stamp again. Now remember what I told you about that snappy sound? You can see I'm still getting some image there. So once I can get that sound, I know it's ready for more ink. So now I'm going to put the Peekaboo Peach. So I have my Peekaboo Peach out, and I'm going to ink up that candle again. And this time I'm going to put it to the left, even at the bottom, kind of going over towards at an angle. Now I have my peach. Again, I'll clean it off. Get my paper out, my scratch paper, and just till I hear that clicky sound where it's catching on the paper. So I'll go ahead and put this away. We'll need this again in a minute, but for now we'll put that away. And now we're going to get our pool party. And we're going to do one on the right. Same thing. Ink it up good. And then even into the right. Okay, so we have our candles. Okay, so at this point, if you're not going to use the Stamp-O-Majig and you're just going to leave the solid images, or if you've decided to stamp the lines and the circles instead of the solid images, you would be ready now to stamp this part down here. But if you're going to do like I did and put like a tone-on-tone pattern on top, then you want to continue on with the next step. Now when I was putting these images tone on tone, I realized when I used my Stamp-O-Majig, when I stamped it with the peach, it was hard to line it up. So I decided what I needed to do was to use my Stamp-O-Majig and stamp it with black. And then, let me get this on here a little firmer. If I stamp it with the basic black, it's easier to line up the images. So let me go ahead and get my Stamp-O-Majig. Now I'm going to do peach, and I'm going to do the lines. And I have it so that there's like a little tiny one that's at the bottom, and then the long line is at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that up and stamp the image on my Stamp-O-Majig. Then I'm going to bring it up here and see how the black is so much easier to line up than something that is the same color as what you're trying to line up with. Okay, so I think that's about right. So I'm going to put that in place. Now I'll have to clean my stamp off to get that black before I do the peach. So I'm going to wipe it really good with my wipe. Then I'm going to get my paper out and do my little, making sure I hear that sound. Be sure not to use the black, but use the peach. It's a lot to remember when you're stamping. You don't want to use the wrong color at the wrong time. Okay, so I'm going to line that up again, and that looks about good. So I'm going to stamp it with the peach. This just adds a little bit of interest. It's really not that important to have the tone on tone. I just think it adds a little bit of interest. Okay, now we're ready to do the pool party. So we'll start again by stamping with black. This time we're going to stamp the dots, the candle with the dots. We're going to stamp that on black, with black, onto our, and then we're going to line it up, clean off the black off of our dots. Get this out so we can clean it off good. Now we're ready to put the black away. Don't want to use the black. Get the pool party out again. This is a little bit of work, so if you didn't want to do this, you've got options. Okay, so now we're going to line up the black with our pool party. We have our pool party out. We've cleaned off our dot stamp. Ink it up with the pool party, and then we're just going to go straight down and straight up. So we just have a little bit of interest there. So now we're going to do the Bermuda Bay down here in the little asterisk stamp. Okay, so I have my Bermuda Bay, and I'm going to stamp this along the bottom, evenly spaced along the bottom with Bermuda Bay, and you could probably do this just by looking through. It's not that difficult to line up. And then all we have left to do is the little flames. So we'll need crushed curry or another yellow that you might have. Let me see if I can find my crushed curry. And I found this part to be rather fun. So I have my stamp here on the back of my sentiment. Here, making double use of my, and I'm just going to go at the top and then touch down. And I have my little flames. Okay, so if you were going to stamp the inside of your card, this would be a good time to do it. And I'm not going to stamp mine right now, but there are lots of good little sentiments that you can use. You could put celebrate the good stuff, happiest of birthdays to you, treat yourself, cue the confetti, happy birthday. Any of those would work on the inside. And that's why I don't really like to put my sentiment on until I'm ready to give the card, because I might have a different sentiment for a different person. So I'm not sure who I'm going to give these cards to yet, so I just leave the inside blank. And sometimes I don't even put a sentiment on the inside, I just write a little note. So if you were going to stamp your sentiment, this is the time that you would want to do that. And then after that you've stamped your sentiment, we are ready to build up our card. So we'll bring in all of the stuff that we put aside, and we've got some ribbon here, some of the Peekaboo Peach crinkled seam binding ribbon. Inside your envelope you're going to find your 3 little Tutti Frutti adhesive backed sequins. This is the Berry Burst. We don't need our envelope right now. So let me tell you what we have here for those who are watching. For the seam binding ribbon, we have a piece that's 12 inches and a piece that is 6 inches. So 6 and 12. And we have a piece of Peekaboo Peach that's going to go on top of the card base. It is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. It's going to go there. Then we have a piece of Berry Burst, 4 by 3 1/4, and that's going to go, well, first of all we've got our DSP, which is 4 by 5 1/4. 4 by 5 1/4. Now this DSP, I cut it a special way because I wanted specific colors to be showing. And so let me show you how I cut that. So we started out with a 6 by 6 piece of paper. Make sure I get this in. And so you can see there's green at the bottom. I didn't want that green. I wanted to cut that green off. So I cut it enough so that it would be 5 1/4. So 5 1/4, and I cut off the green part. And then I needed this to be 4. So I cut off this part here, like basically 2 inches, where the wider part of the pink is, because I wanted silver. I wanted this silver, so I cut off enough to make this 4 inches. So when I cut those away, this is what I came and left with. And it may not matter to you, but if it does, then you'll want to cut that the way I showed you. Now on top of this is going to be our sentiment. We'll have 1/8 of an inch at the top and 1/8 of an inch at the side. So we can go ahead and put that on with some snail. Now, did I tell you that the Berry Burst was 4 by 3 1/4? I hope I did. Okay, so I need 1/8 of an inch at the top and on the side. So I'm going to try my best to do this without it sticking, because it likes to stick. Now you know I use the little waxy strip, because it gives me fits if I don't. Okay, that looks good there. Okay, that's going to be covered up with ribbons, so it doesn't matter if it's a little marred there. Now we're going to put this on, let's go ahead and put this on our Peekaboo Peach. And it looks like there's a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. And let's see now, we're going to go ahead and put this on, and it is going to be, the top of this is going to be about a 1/2 inch. So the top of this is a 1/2 inch from the top of the Peekaboo Peach. And this side is going to be even with the DSP, not the Peekaboo Peach. So I'm going to use the little grids to kind of help me know where my 1/2 inch is. Now we're ready to put on our ribbon. We're going to use our 6-inch piece of ribbon, and we'll be covering up that part where I pulled the cardstock, so it's not going to show. So on the back, where we kind of think the ribbon's going to go, we're going to put some adhesive on both sides, about 1 inch square. And this is crinkle ribbon, so it's supposed to be crinkly. Now, so I have even ends on both sides, and I'm just going to wrap that around and push it into the adhesive. Now we're ready to put it on our card base, and it's got a 1/16 of an inch going all the way around. Now we only have a couple of things left to do. We've got the ribbon and the sequins. So to do the bow, we're going to slide the 12-inch piece underneath there. And then we're going to, we want a little bit more up here than down here. Then we're going to make a loop like that. Bring this around. Try to keep it flat. And then push it through the loop that you just made and pull it. And then you just want to straighten it up till it looks good, till you're happy with it. Once you're happy with it, you can take your scissors and you can trim off any, trim the ends so that it looks a little neater. And then you have your bow. So next we need to put some, and every bow looks different, so depending on yours might look a little different. I think I might play with this one a little more once I get off camera. Okay, then now we're ready to do our sequins. So we're going to put one right here next to the candle, one down here in the corner, and one up here in the corner, like that. So now we have our card. This is card number 6 in our Picture Perfect Birthday online class. Stay tuned for the final episode 7, the project number 7, and we will be doing the 3 little gift bags. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye now.